Oh, I'm so scared. I'm seeing all the Lovecraft horrors and I'm pissing myself. Wait, did you hear that? What was that? Anybody? Come on now, Araknie. You're on YouTube and just doing a review of Quake. No need to be scared. Alright, here I am. I'm starting it. You can't stop me. So this is a successor to Doom by the same makers and the last game by the original id Software team. Half of them wanted this to be a first-person RPG to rival Ultima Underworld, after giving up on Doom being dead because of engine limitations. So they created the Quake engine to be fully 3D and finally do that. It went through numerous iterations before even being named Quake, but at the end they did an FPS. John Carmack basically steered the ship and decided what id Software should be up until today. At this point, John Romero and a few others just left, even if not all of them managed to get their dream RPG game in development. It's alright, but a one-note studio is always one financial disaster away, having to scramble and get something different going on fast. It's always best to have a game studio that can develop games in at least 2 or 3 different genres as a backup. The story of the game is painted through the eyes of the Ranger, our classic space marine soldier flavor of the weak guy. He's one of the very few to survive in his own space station, then he starts hearing voices that speak in an ancient and mysterious language and he shits himself. All his friends try to kill him now and has to go alone into a portal technology that, he figures, failed to work correctly and open to the dimensions of the old ones. Nice going! Experiments are always a fun little diversion until they spawn a genocide, I guess. But enough about that, let's tackle the real new thing that changes everything. This game is fully in 3D. This means that they could do much more with the level design now. So much that they made each location have many different tile sets, trying to paint an organic picture of places and zones that make geographical and geometrical sense. And they succeeded so well that they risked it all and didn't put an auto-map function in so they could ship the game without any other delay. Trust me, they had plenty already. But yeah, I never got lost. Even the bigger levels, both in the main game and the 2 expansions, are so well done and readable that you'll always manage to find your footing. You might miss out on some secrets, but the world has meaning. You're not supposed to find them all the first time you're playing Quake. But if you explore a bit, you can pick up on a lot of visual cues thanks to the new engine and find a lot of them. I think I got close to 75% total, spending 20 minutes tops per location. That's not a terribly high amount of time. Certainly much shorter and much more well designed than Doom 2 maps, that's for sure. I will keep grouping together the main game with the 2 expansions released in 1997 since I played them both and finished them joyously. I'll go in much more detail later. First of all, let's talk about level variety, trap variety and verticality. There is a lot to see and do in these maps, I gotta say. So many interactions that still surprised me by the time episode 4 was rolling. They phased out almost completely the concept of a time button interaction, only leaving a few of them scattered around and mostly related to secrets. That sounds fair. While changing it up, the objective of reaching the end of a level might be tied to a specific interaction with an item or shooting in a specific place. Sometimes they might even need you to hit a certain number of the same looking spot or button. Otherwise, they also have specific enemies outside of bosses you might need to kill to unlock an interaction. That's all pretty varied if you consider this is also something that applies to certain secrets, while they keep the classic hitting the wall to find out or even an invisible wall. For that, press 1 on your keyboard to equip the X so that you don't waste ammo while you hunt for the hidden stuff. Locations are very varied. Jungles, temples of various areas, caves of various types, mines, space stations, sewer systems, volcanoes, castles. I'll stop right there. There's a bunch of others, but you get the gist of it. It's a lot of completely different spots each time. Wizard towers, cemeteries. Oh wait, I was supposed to stop. And you'll get thrown all around the place in these levels, but only when it makes sense for it. Enclosed spaces will explore more, getting you into the mindset of finding hidden corridors or large rooms with some special enemies that serve as little arenas, treating those like mid-tier bosses. In more open levels, you'll get up or maybe underground and then up. But it's not guaranteed. You might think you're in a very cramped area when in reality you'll find air tubes throwing you around all over the place. You're always gonna get surprised by something special. But what connects the main game to the expansions and really was novel to me were the enemies and weapons variety. I will not do another list and not even two, but it's a lot of them in both cases. There are just so many of them. But I can tell you the types of enemies. You might think they are only melee and range, but they have a few novelties that will really mix it up. The most interesting kind are the ones that have homing attacks, because they are slow and you have to trick them into crashing against walls. But they are really precise and move really well, so be careful and basically start going away immediately when you see one. Also, there's exploding enemies that do damage if you kill them near you, others that can eat organic demons to recover health, and then there's him, the Shambler. This is the evolution of the Archvile. Feel old yet? He's bigger too, so he occupies more space and that's why he's much more dangerous. I hate this guy, but I love to kill him. The best part about your interaction with them is that all of them are weak to a specific weapon. For example, the Shambler dies easy with nails, so changing weapons and looking for a way to kill them frantically is in reality a rewarded tactic. Experimentation pays off. Also, the Spider-Woman is susceptible to anything that emits fire and is fire center, while the Knights go down with a couple grenades and so on and so forth. The expansions still keep this formula, so keep trying, you're gonna have fun in discovery. Weapons follow a similar evolution and then more, because aside from having new weapons very close to the last maps of the game, they also added variations of them. For example, a normal nail gun shoots one of them, but a super one launches 3 at the same time. And the best part about this is that both expansions add new demons and guns for you to play with, including new variations that have different bullets with some elemental property tied to it. Doom 1 and 2, Heretic and Hexen don't do that, so this has been quite refreshing. Playing a total of 9 episodes and almost 60 levels and feeling like they still threw new things up to the last boss. Honestly love this game, aside from one problem. Episode 4 of the main campaign. Feels like they didn't have any more creativity for this. They started throwing at you these jumping pinkies and the Shamblers all the time. Didn't get so inspired, needed many more unique elements. With the variety of design in FPS games you have these days, I understand how without nostalgia this might be a bit much. You might want to push through because the skill you get doing this is important in expansions and those are very much worth doing. Not the new machine game ones, they are devoid of anything interesting. The two from 1997, I'm not saying anything out of order, they are better than the official last episode. More creative, more interesting level design, more new elements to interact with and locations. They are just more interesting and thankfully they are considered part of the whole package, so you can and should enjoy them. They really brought back up my morale after those last few maps. Technically it was really surprising. Sure, it's early 3D, but it has a certain style that is quite enjoyable to this day. I don't know, everything looks chunky and appropriately very present to you. Also the colors are well used and varied to represent the different places. Not too much because they wanted to make the blood and the reds in general stand out more. I can appreciate the decision. Good gibs are always cool to look at. Also the texture work helped. You can tell that they were hand-placed because stages and levels are so varied visually and internally that they had to make it this way. Remember, this title has no auto map, so making everything distinct and unique was the only choice they had if they wanted any of this to be good. Musically instead, I didn't like the soundtrack of the main game at all. They decided to go for a super artistic atmospheric horror OST and it just doesn't land. It's made by 9 Inch Nails and I already didn't like their normal commercial work, so this was even worse. They try to retroactively explain it by being this way because the ranger is scared by the unspeakable horrors, while the action has you going around like this. It's nothing much to listen to. Thankfully in the expansions they are the real composer. Thank you Ji-hoon Wang for saving the situation and making some actual video game music to listen to. In conclusion, I wanna say that Quake gets a very well deserved 9 out of 10. If episode 4 was not such a disappointment, I would have put this between my favorite games of all time. As it stands, it just missed the mark by just that much. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!